all right. So, I'm here to blab. Blab. This is what I'm good for. Now, I'm just really, something that makes me really happy is to be able to share the knowledge that I acquire. So, I am now currently studying trauma. It's something that always fascinated me in terms of like what's going on. And And so there's a couple of things that came to me and yeah, I'd like to talk about it. I'd like to share. I'd like to see if it generates some sort of um discussion, if it resonates with some people, if it can, bring some sort of conversation together. I'm going to be opening my notes because that's definitely gonna help me understand myself. So one thing that I loved to listen to, which is like a recurrent topic in trauma, is how has the behavior helped you in the past? People shut down, for example, as a coping mechanism for very good reasons. When you feel too much, you try not to feel. So when feeling was dangerous, not feeling was helpful. Hmm. Um, so what if instead of immediately trying to remove a behavior, we become curious about it, why it needed to exist? And I will always remember Gabor Mate's incredibly beautiful human um quote, which went like, um, don't ask why the addiction, ask why the pain, which I find so beautiful. Um, the idea that trauma is not just a story from the past, because the environment, the dangerous environment, may no longer be dangerous, but somehow part of us is still back there. And once it happens, you look at yourself differently, you look at other people differently, you literally experience the world differently. And it was terrible back then, but it is not happening right now. So, how do we make sense of that, right? How can we support people in building a safe enough space or place where they can go and visit those traumatic memories and they can integrate and fully experience it was back then and it's no longer happening to me right now. And another thing that I wrote down is we need a sensitive brain to take life in. And I love it so much because when you protect yourself from feeling the pain, what else do we still stop feeling? What else do we stop feeling? We stop feeling pleasure, humor, joy, connection, intimacy, love. Maybe healing isn't just about feeling less pain, but maybe it's about becoming able to feel life again in its, um, in its wholeness. Um, Also, we live in a society very much built upon, avoiding pain and uncomfortableness and just kind of like um a society that rewards constant pleasure and constant gratification and dopamine, and it becomes less and less. of a conversation, the idea of, okay, what do we do with the feelings that we don't necessarily love or like? I mean, I'm trailing off of the topic of trauma. Now it's just about, pain in general. Very different. But feeling uncomfortable, it's okay. And feeling pain, it's also okay. We are so equipped to go through adversity as humans, and we have evolved to feel ready to experience. Um, and we have all the capacity within ourselves to experience it, but somehow we'd rather not. Obviously, makes sense, right? Because who wants to feel pain and hurt and all those uncomfortable things? But the reality is that if we try to escape those feelings, we're also escaping all the other bits which make life worth living, I think. So we need a sensitive brain to take life in. I love that sentence because it's just talking about how we need a safe embodiment, a safe body, and a safe mind, and a safe container to be able to welcome the beautiful life experiences that await us. And not only beautiful, but meaningful. And that doesn't necessarily have to be something that lacks um, pain. Anyhow, um, another thing that I thought that's quite interesting is that people can feel comfortable in situations that remind them of their trauma. And not because they want the pain, but because the familiar and safe are not necessarily the same thing. What happens when what is familiar to me isn't actually good for me? And how much of what feels normal did I learn through relationships? Because we do tend to be very repetitive creatures, and we repeat what we have seen and what we have learned from our very first frame of what life was. And so it's very normal that if you've accepted violence in your family as a way to relate, later on in your life as an adult, you end up in relationships um, that recreate that same um, dynamic. Why? We don't like the pain, but we go and shift and gravitate towards the familiar because that's what we know. So I find that very interesting. And I find that if it's something that we're able to identify, it's the very first step to then be able to talk ourselves into awareness and probably and hopefully break the patterns, even though they are very hard to break or feel hard to break. But with the right amount of care and attention and support, I think these are very possible things to do. Mm. Um, Another question that I really loved about the course was what is in your life? What is there in your life to engage you? And it's like, what makes you feel alive, right? What is the thing that keeps you motivated, that keeps you from sleeping all day or from spending hours and hours and hours numbing yourself? Is there something that activates you and passionately drives you forward? Um, I feel like I'm very privileged. Um, and yet I have moments in my life where that spark decreases. And every time I ask myself, what is this thing that's making me stay in in this state of boredom and stillness, and sometimes guilt and shame, and it always comes back to love. It always comes back to movement. It always comes back to purpose and meaning. And I'm trying so much every time it happens again to not beat myself up, which is something new to me because I always used to beat myself up if I wasn't what I was aiming for in this ideal demands of that I made for myself. And so now when this happens, I just try to follow this plan, right? Like what do I need? What does my body need? I need nourishment. I need good food. I need a nice meal. I need to shower and feel clean. I need to um, nurture my body and maybe give myself a massage. I need to move my body and feel myself, because I'm not just a mind, I am also a body and a spirit. So then I think, what is it that I like? And sometimes it could just be reading a book, or sometimes it could be like, wow, in this very crazy, chaotic lifestyle that we live in, do I just ever lay down and stare at what's around me and just allow my thoughts to run free? We're just so used to using AI or scrolling through our phones that we barely ever, have thoughts that are like conscious to us. Um, I went off again, but that was the point of this video, so it's fine. Um, so how do we help somebody enjoy their body again, to feel safe in it, to experience pleasure, to connect, to play, and to love? And I feel like these are very much the pillars, that need to appear in our life. Where do we find pleasure in our life? How can we connect with another person through play, through, laughter? We are 10 times more likely to connect if there's, laughter and smiling, and connection can only happen in such circumstances. And another thing that I love about this whole topic, that I personally think is that um, there is trauma, but we've all known love and peace. And although we don't remember because we're so affected by the bad things, because the bad things stay, um, and are easier to disrupt, and are easier to spot, and are easier to just pretty much take space in our lives. I think we are all capable of arriving to a place inside of ourselves where there is love, and where there is, even before love, there is like neutrality, and it's pain free, and it's comfortable. So this is exactly why I have hope for anyone, really, to, no matter what has happened, that you can always go back to this place of neutrality. And then on top of that neutrality, we can even go deeper and feel a felt sense of pure love and pure connectedness and pure unity. And it is possible. And I think that in itself is a beautiful thing to hold on to. So the last thought that I wrote here is, what if healing isn't only integrating what happened to us, but slowly becoming available to life again? Oh, I love that. I think that encapsulates very much, if this video has any type of structure. it it definitely should end on this note. To slowly become available to life again in every way. And it's a slow process. And and it's also really hard to believe that that is a possibility when everything is so fast paced and everything is so instant and automatic and in all that it's in a way harder to believe that there can be lasting change and there can be. I'm here to remind you there can be lasting change. So there we are. Little blabbing session of Carly. Anyways, I hope you're having a lovely day and I'll talk to you soon about new stuffs.